Knotfest 2012. Oh yeah, it happened. And we were so happy to have been a part of things. It was nuts, man. Nuts. Of course, Slipknot. That's why it was called Knotfest. And it was the return of Randy Blythe. He had been in jail in the Czech Republic for a couple of months. They kept him after a show where some kid, basically a fan, died. And they wanted to hold him accountable. So he'd been there for a couple of months in jail. And we were trying to get him out of jail. And it literally was the first show after he got out of jail. It wasn't even 10 days after he was out. Flew in, he was the happiest guy. I remember I was roaming around doing a bunch of things and I hear Randy Blythe in the background and he's like, I've never been so happy to see f***ing Korn in my life. So that was one of the highlights. Of course, Machine Head played, The Urge played, and one of the reasons why we had The Urge play Knotfest was because the first show that I could really help Slipknot get into the Ranch Bowl, which was the hip place at the time, was opening up for The Urge. They opened up for Clever as well, which was a local band from the area, but getting The Urge to play Knotfest was going down memory lane. But Prawn played, Machine Head played, Deftones played, and Chino told everybody he's gonna meet them at some ride. So you see all these people bum rushing these rides. We had a museum, a Slipknot museum, that had these cat heads on them, and that was okay at the beginning of the day, but with the sun beating and by the end of the day, yeah, it smelled really nasty. But it was still badass. You could go through the tent and see the history of the band, and that was something that the clown put together last minute, and definitely was a plus. But the other thing that comes to mind about Knotfest is the goats. The second album they put out, Iowa, that had the goat head on it, it was kind of like a mascot of some sort. All right, well, when we were setting this show up, I was driving in the week of, go check everything out, and there's these little baby goats on the gravel road that goes into the venue. And I'm like, oh, isn't that cute? Baby goats. Wait a minute. Goats? Slipknot fans? I freaked out. I'm like, they're gonna get the goats and they're gonna throw them over the fence. We're gonna have some Ozzy bat thing going on, but with goats. So I swear, and I contacted the family that owned the farm. I'm like, you have to hide your goats. Take your goats, put them on another farm. But I'm telling you, please don't have your goats on Friday because the festival's gonna be here and these people are nuts. And if they see a goat, they're gonna think it's a sign and they're gonna steal your goat and throw it over the fence and I would feel horrible about it. Okay. The morning of, I'm driving in and there's some damn goats. And I'm freaking out. That was my biggest fear at Knotfest, other than everybody being safe and sound, including Slipknot. I was worried that listeners were gonna see a goat because they didn't take me serious and see it as a sign, because I would if I were a Slipknot fan and I'm driving in to the very first Knotfest ever and I see a goat on the road. That to me is a sign. I gotta grab that goat and I've gotta take it into Knotfest with me. They took the goats last minute, the morning of, after I freaked out on them, and they hit them. So there were no goats on the premises, thank God.